So is Trump, Musk, and the USA going to buy Greenland? That's the subject of today's video. And in fact, this is a real headline. Greenland's leader ready to talk to Trump. And this is the quote here. We have a desire for independence, a desire to be a master of our own house. This is something everyone should respect. But that doesn't mean we are cutting all ties, all cooperation, and all relations with Denmark. So are the Greenland people, are they going to be part of the USA in the future? Who knows? Part of what's going on here, and you can see there's been private messages being sent between, I guess, the Trump people already and Denmark. But I would say what's going on here is really Trump is showing, and Musk, these people showing what they're truly interested in, is that is enriching themselves. And unfortunately, a lot of people go along with it. Essentially, he tells people a whole bunch of lies. In the USA, your life is going to be better. Your life is going to be awesome. And then he just goes off and does business deals for him and his family. What else can you say? And I laugh at this stuff because, isn't it obvious this guy's a total con man? But yeah, people go along with it. And I feel like our politics in USA is essentially who can tell the best lies. And you understand that our audience is stupid, right? That would be much of the MAGA voters. And so just lie to them, promise them the moon. They don't deliver, and they still go along with it because, you did promise them the moon. There's that. So there's some Greenlanders that are saying, yeah, please buy us, right? It's the same kind of stuff. The Trump people fly into town. They'll give all these big promises on how you're all going to have jobs and have lots of money. And my dad is famous. That would be Donnie's kid. Yeah, my dad's famous. And you saw him on TV, and you're all going to be stars. And then what ends up happening is, maybe they buy Greenland and use a bunch of taxpayer dollars to do that. Though maybe there'll be a few factory owners that get rich, and the Trumps will get rich, and then everyone else will just be regular worker or whatever. Whether or not Greenland becomes a state, who knows? There are other territories that USA could be looking at, be it Puerto Rico, looking at, hey, let's turn them into a state. But we're not going to talk about that, right? We're just going to figure out ways to make Trump get rich. Now, this was actually a real tweet in 2019 on August 20th that Trump put out. And he says here, I promise not to do this to Greenland. And he's got a Trump Tower in Greenland here. That is a real tweet. Now, as Trump always says, oh, it's just a joke. But that's what he tweets out, right? And, just put this in other perspectives. Just imagine if Biden or Obama or Clinton or anyone, right, the Democrat side were tweeting out pictures of their name on a building another country. Think how Fox News would portray that. Just think about that, right? You already know the answer to this stuff. With the Trump stuff, we laugh about it because we already know the guy's a crook. He's literally a felon. And sort of we kind of expect this stuff, but it's laughable because that people actually go along with this nonsense. So, but that's who Trump is. He wants to put his name on everything. I was actually surprised. You remember they want to name Gulf of Mexico to Gulf America, but other people said we should just call it the Gulf of Trump. I mean, let's just be honest, right? That's what we want to do here. And are we going to start putting Trump's face on the dollar bill and put it on Rushmore? Maybe. I'm sure he wants to try. Guys, you should see this movie if you haven't. It's called The Apprentice. It just came out in 2024. It's about Trump's early years, and for those of you who want some more sort of inside look of his world, please look it out. Please watch it. You'll get a sense of what I'm saying, because there's a lot of people that fall for this stuff. This is a real comment coming in our community here from Veronica Hillary just 5 minutes ago. Veronica says, Trump is the servant of Jesus Christ. Thank you, Jesus. She also says here, all false charges, bias, corrupt judge and jury tempering. The judge and his daughter must have made millions. So, in these people's weird, twisted world, Trump is a saint, right? He's the gift from Jesus. And, all of these other negative things about him are all lies and stuff like that. It's how do you communicate with these kind of people? I don't know. I mean, I think you just have to tell better lies than Trump, and that becomes our whole world. And, this whole Trumpy stuff, it reminds me of, I grew up, you guys don't know, I'm 49, I'll be 50 soon, actually. But, I grew up in the 80s when there used to be a lot of TV evangelists on TV. And then that's sort of when Trump came to power as well. And basically, it was just all these charlatans on TV that would basically steal money from old people. That's basically what it is. And anyone who lived through this time period, you'll know exactly the kind of, was it the Tim and was it Tim and Fanny Baker? It was the Bakers. If you guys remember these people, they would like, it was just those kind of and I don't even know if that culture still exists on TV in USA. You guys can let me know if those really fake heavy makeup preachers in USA, and we say TV evangelists, and I guess they've all moved to YouTube or whatever, and now essentially the conservative YouTubers, those kind of people, but or they all go on Fox News now. But Trump fits that culture. That's the era that he was working this thing, and he's still working it now. How to enrich their family. One of the things and I just point this stuff out to you guys was what's going on. They had to put out an ethics thing recently, and one of the things that was interesting about it is that the Trump people are saying that we're not going to do, while Trump president, we're not going to do business dealings with the foreign governments. But it left open the possibility that they'll do business dealings with private entities. So there's that. And so chances are he'll be making deals like the same way, building hotels in Greenland, building golf courses in Vietnam, Saudi, Emirates, wherever, right? If he can meet with a foreign leader and make some sort of side deal to build hotels, he'll totally do that. That's what Trump's game is all about. And it's funny because when you read through these articles about this whole Greenland stuff, how it could play out, I'll give you examples. So this is one here. Trump wants to take Greenland 4 ways this saga could go. So I guess we could do a tariffs on them, sanctions or whatever, force them to join us or whatever. We could invade them militarily. I think there's only like 56 or 57,000 people that live there. So if we really wanted to take it militarily, I'm sure we could. I can't even talk about this. Trump loses interest, nothing happens, right? Or Greenland goes for independence, then comes to the USA. I do want to point out that the USA does have other territories. My personal opinion on this stuff, I think all this stuff is pretty ludicrous. I think this is all about, enriching the Trumps and the Musks. And it is not necessarily serving the American people that are, right, that he promised all these things to, but I get it. They're stupid. I get it. I'm being a little mean, but it's just the reality. Like I read, for example, there was an interesting article today. It just came out. I'll read the quote here. It says, "There are a lot of bitter people here. I'm one of them. Rust Belt voters on why they backed Trump again, despite his broken promises." And this was like in Youngstown, Ohio, where they talked to people and they're like, yeah, the first time around, Trump promised he's going to rebuild our factories and everything's going to be awesome. And then nothing happened. But he said he's going to try, or, again, this time. It's like, I mean, how do you... That's the American voters. I mean, like, what do you do? And to be fair, right? I guess Kamala Harris needed to tell bigger lies than Trump. But these problems are deep in the USA, and that's why I'm honest with you. But very few people will be honest with you that it's really tough out there. I totally understand. And so essentially, these people want a savior the same way they want Jesus to come save them. They want Trump to come save them. And my feelings on these things, I think that's a very hard to say. Not a very successful route to take in your life, is expecting someone to save you, opposed to working hard to save yourself, facing up to reality, and maybe you have to move. I know for many people it's not an easy thing. I honestly know. That's really what I wrote my book about. I got to show you guys. It's called Positive Angle. I grew up. I wrote this book, and it's about this. I grew up in rural Oregon around construction workers. I grew up on construction sites. I picked berries, these kind of things. I really know. And my experiences were, if I would have stayed in small town Oregon, I would have gone nowhere in my life. That's just how it is. And I understand for some people, if you're in, say Youngstown, Ohio, or wherever, you feel like there's no opportunities out there, and there's, no one's going to come save you. Why don't you save me? And that kind of stuff. Sometimes you have to like be prepared for changes that happen in society. And not everything goes the way that you want it to, but you have to adjust. And some people don't want to hear that. What can I do? All I can do is I went to education, and for those people who want to better themselves, there's that. And I don't pretend any of these things are easy, but I guess what frustrates me the most is when someone like Trump comes and lies to these people. Oh yes, we're going to bring you all your jobs back. You're all going to be awesome. That was back in 2016. He said these things, and it's like 8 years later. And the guy literally says in these interviews, and this is from The Guardian, like, oh yeah, he didn't fulfill his promises, but I mean, this is going to try. And then all these people wanted to hear is that the system is rigged. And so that's why they identify with Trump, because Trump always says, oh, they all cheated me, stuff like that. And they say, oh yeah, they cheat me too. Oh yeah, okay. So let's just destroy everything. And then this guy just comes in and just like talking about, making deals with Greenland. And then they'll think, oh, he's a great businessman. Look how rich he is. It is a strange thing. And I don't know how many other countries voter base, right? Electorate will go along with this kind of culture. I don't know. Because I'll tell you. So we have corruption here in Korea. So for example, and in fact, this is part of the culture that Trump's bringing in, is basically pay to play. So Hyundai, and they're not alone. I think Toyota was on this list. It was Hyundai, Toyota, GM, yeah, and Ford. They're all donating $1 million to Trump, and they're gonna all try to get their seats in the inauguration party or whatever when he gets elected. And I guess Hyundai's never gone to these things before, but they're basically all trying to garner favor with Trump, right? That's what this is. I mean, it's obvious what's happening. It's all corrupt. And like I said, it's crazy because just imagine if the other party did it, what Fox News would say. So, I have a realistic view about this stuff because I've seen this stuff before. I mean, you guys don't know. I've talked before on channel. I used to live and work in China, and it's all corrupt over there. It's completely corrupt. So when people talk about China and say communism, it's not what you think it is. Oftentimes people say they just don't know because they've never been these places. They just think that I guess everyone lives in prison or something. But it's not really like that. It's just more like the corporations take over everything. It's essentially what it is. And they write the rules and they make all the deals and whatever politicians, get rich. And every now and then, I don't know, maybe 3 times a year, there's a big scandal that someone took bribes, etc. And one party will take a bunch of bribes and then the voter base will say, oh, well, that's just a particular individual, not the whole party. And then they'll vote for the next person in the same party. That next person does a bunch of bribes from the same company. And the voters keep going along with it. Like, and this is like an endless cycle, this stuff. So, I have to have a sense of humor and stuff because I just want you to understand this is the way the world works. Sadly, though, with the Trump situation, and this is where it becomes pronounced, like it's so overtly obvious that these people are incompetent and they're corrupt. And what ends up happening, you'll see these kind of stories. I'll find it here. Like this one. Is Trump's rhetoric on Greenland, Canada, a Panama Canal, a madman strategy? And so you'll see this stuff, and basically what people that want to defend Trump, they try to pretend like he's some really smart master planner and stuff like that, and they'll come out and then they'll have all these historical things, and they sound really intelligent, and then when you actually watch what Trump says or you see what his kids say, you're like, no, these people aren't that smart. They're just a bunch of greedy, business people that try to enrich themselves. And someone actually pointed out in the comment, that was an interesting thing where people were saying, they replace intelligence with cunning. That's someone from the comments in the community. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way to look at it. It all depends, what you want in a leader. If you want someone who's out to make business deals and become more rich, put their names on more stuff, and then therefore you think they're successful. I mean, I guess that's what you get. In my opinion, and we talk about politics or even CEOs or anything, you want someone who's going to run the organization well. You don't necessarily have to hear their name all the time, nor see their face on everything. It's just that you don't want any drama, and you want to create a system where other people can, prosper as well. But the system that the Americans have chosen this time around, and who knows, maybe all the way in the future, because we're kind of in this lie-driven social media world where even now Facebook is eliminating fact checkers, is I guess the people who enrich themselves the most to show off their material goods, and then somehow they're godlike figures to the people who believe in Jesus. I don't know. It is a strange world that we live in. Life will go on. I think things are going to get really, really tough though for a lot of people in the USA and around the world. We're facing an economic downturn. And, this is just a reality. The USA is a big economy, right? It's big. Who doesn't know that? And if it's led by people who are, in the Trump situation, self-enriching, don't expect the people at the bottom of the economic scale to have their lives improved. That's just the reality. Some people will do well, some people won't. But the higher chances is the people at the top of the oligarchy will do the best. And a lot of people, at the very bottom will they'll misdirect their anger and frustration into, unfortunately, violent, negative ways, and Trump's and the Musk will fuel that fire to stay in power. And I can see it coming a mile away. It's easy to see. Anyone who watches the channel, you'll see it as well. And I think that's the most frustrating thing, is that it's so obvious what's happening, and yet people still fall for it. So, I'm just telling you guys what's going on, and I wish I had better news of this stuff, but I think it's important to point out these kind of corruptions, and keep talking about this stuff further. So, whether or not we buy Greenland, we'll see, but it's not going to help you. It's going to help Musk and Trump get rich. So, thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you next video.